Every modern naval superpower faces an agonizing strategic trade-off. Pour finite resources into the visible, flexible power projection of aircraft carriers, or bury that capital in the invisible, absolute deterrence of ballistic missile submarines. Committing to either path requires decades of industrial mobilization, risking hundreds of billions of dollars on complex hull designs and reactor technologies that might be obsolete before the steel even touches the water. To understand who controls the 21st century oceans, we must examine the apex machines currently defining both sides of this high-stakes equation. On the surface, a fierce technological arms race is unfolding. The United States Navy sets the bleeding-edge benchmark with the electromagnetic launch systems of the Ford-class, while China rapidly closes the gap, evolving from the steam turbine training wheels of the Liaoning to the indigenous, catapult-equipped Fujian. But the most decisive naval asset may be the one you never see. Beneath the waves, a silent competition of acoustic engineering and nuclear payloads pits the aging but legendary American Ohio-class against modern Russian Borei submarines and China's heavily armed Jin-class. Mastering the balance between these surface and subsurface platforms defines modern naval supremacy. To understand the brutal calculus of modern naval power, you start with the benchmark, the USS Gerald R. Ford. Displacing 100,000 tons, this warship is the lead vessel of a new class designed to project American power for the next 50 years. It's not just an iteration, it's a fundamental redesign of what an aircraft carrier is, built around a core of immense electrical generating capacity. Its power comes from two A-1B nuclear reactors, which produce significantly more energy than the reactors on the preceding Nimitz class. This surplus power isn't for speed, it's for the ship's revolutionary and initially troubled centerpiece, the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, or EMALS. Instead of the violent, uncontrolled blast of steam used for decades, EMALS is a massive linear motor. It smoothly accelerates aircraft down the deck, reducing structural stress on airframes and allowing for precise control over launch energy. This means the Ford can launch everything from heavy, fully loaded F-35C fighters to future lightweight unmanned drones with equal efficiency. The performance implication of this technology is a dramatic increase in combat tempo. Combined with a redesigned flight deck and advanced weapons elevators, the Ford is engineered to generate a higher sortie rate with a smaller crew of roughly 4,500 sailors. This is the promise of the platform: more air power, faster, with fewer people. However, this bleeding-edge capability came at a staggering price. The lead ship cost over $13 billion, plagued by massive delays. For years, the EMALS, its counterpart, the advanced arresting gear, and the weapons elevators were notoriously unreliable, calling the entire concept into question. This was the high-stakes gamble of integrating so many unproven systems at once. While these issues have now been largely resolved through years of difficult work, the Ford serves as a critical lesson in the trade-off between ultimate potential and practical reliability. It is the most powerful carrier afloat, but its difficult birth proves that achieving this level of capability is a monumental industrial and engineering challenge. It now sets the brutally expensive standard for all who follow. While the Ford sets the brutally expensive standard for surface power, a new challenger is rapidly closing the technology gap. China's Type 003 carrier, the Fujian, represents the single greatest leap in naval capability for any nation in the 21st century. This is not a copy or a modification of an old design. It is the first aircraft carrier fully designed and built in China, and it incorporates a technology only one other country has mastered. Its defining feature is an Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, or EMALS. This makes the Fujian the first carrier outside of the United States Navy capable of launching aircraft with a catapult, and an advanced electromagnetic one at that. At an estimated 85,000 tons, it is a massive platform. The performance implication of having EMALS is revolutionary for the Chinese Navy. It means the Fujian can launch heavier aircraft, specifically the new J-35 fifth-generation stealth fighter, with a full load of fuel and weapons. This capability dramatically increases the range, payload, and combat effectiveness of its air wing, putting it in a similar league to American carriers. However, this technological parity comes with a critical strategic trade-off. Unlike the Ford, the Fujian uses conventional gas turbine propulsion. This means it is dependent on a fleet of tanker ships for fuel, limiting its operational range and endurance. It cannot deploy with the same independence as a nuclear-powered vessel, and its support group creates a larger logistical footprint that is more vulnerable to detection and attack. The practical value of the Fujian is therefore immense, but qualified. It is the centerpiece of a blue-water navy, designed to project power far into the Pacific and beyond. It is a symbol of technological arrival, demonstrating that China can now build the most complex and powerful surface combatants in the world, while its conventional power plant dictates how it will be used, likely within concentric rings of fleet defense. Its ability to operate high-performance catapult-launched aircraft fundamentally alters the naval balance of power. It proves that the era of uncontested American carrier dominance is over, but it also highlights the next engineering hurdle China must overcome to achieve true global reach. To understand the sheer scale of engineering required to build the Fujian, you have to look at the baseline it replaces. The Liaoning represents the absolute starting point of modern Chinese naval aviation. Purchased as an unfinished Soviet hull named Varyag in 1998, this vessel was rebuilt from the keel up to serve as the training wheels for an aspiring superpower. Displacing 65,000 tons and measuring 306 meters long, the Liaoning relies on conventional steam turbines to push its hull to 30 knots. Its air wing consists of approximately 40 aircraft, including 24 Shenyang J-15 fighters. But its defining architectural feature is the STOBAR configuration, which stands for Short Takeoff but Arrested Recovery. Instead of a mechanical catapult, the bow features a prominent ski jump ramp. This STOBAR design dictates the harsh physical realities of naval aviation. Because there is no external force accelerating the aircraft down the deck, a fighter must rely entirely on its own engine thrust to achieve lift off the ramp. This creates a severe aerodynamic penalty. A J-15 taking off from the Liaoning cannot launch with both full fuel tanks and a maximum weapons payload. Commanders must constantly choose between combat radius and striking power. If a jet needs to fly far, it must carry fewer missiles. If it needs a heavy bomb load, it cannot fly very far. This fundamental physics problem is exactly why the electromagnetic catapults on the Fujian are such a critical strategic leap. In practical terms, the Liaoning is not a frontline strike platform designed for sustained blue water combat. It is a highly active experimental laboratory and floating classroom. It generates the qualified pilots, deck crews, and operational doctrine required to run a modern carrier strike group. It taught the Chinese Navy how to operate at sea, exposing the limitations of conventional steam propulsion and ski jump physics. But while the surface fleet races to perfect these visible instruments of power projection, the most decisive naval asset may be the one you never see. This is the hidden world of strategic deterrence, a game of hide and seek dominated for decades by one specific underwater design. That design is the American Ohio-class, a type of nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine, or SSBN, engineered in the 1970s as the ultimate guarantor of strategic deterrence. Designed as a direct response to the rapid development of Soviet Delta-class submarines, the Ohio's primary mission was simple: to vanish into the deep ocean and wait. Its entire architecture was subordinated to this one goal, creating the undisputed gold standard for the silent service. The specifications that enable this mission are centered on endurance and stealth. At 170 meters long, the Ohio-class is propelled by a single S-8G nuclear reactor, giving it virtually unlimited range and the ability to remain submerged for months at a time. Its primary armament consists of 20 Trident 2D5 submarine-launched ballistic missiles, a reduction from its original 24 tubes to comply with strategic arms treaties. But the most critical design feature is its exceptionally low acoustic signature. Every piece of machinery, from the reactor to the life support systems, was mounted and insulated to minimize noise, making the submarine incredibly difficult for an adversary to detect and track. To maximize operational availability, each of the 18 boats built was assigned 2 complete rotating crews, designated Blue and Gold, ensuring the submarines spend the majority of their service life on patrol. In practice, the Ohio-class became the most survivable leg of America's nuclear triad for decades. Its ability to disappear made it a near-perfect second-strike weapon, guaranteeing retaliation even if land-based systems were destroyed. The platform's versatility was later proven when the 4 oldest boats were converted into ship, submersible, guided, nuclear, or SSGN variants, replacing their ballistic missiles with up to 154 Tomahawk cruise missiles for conventional strike missions. However, these are fundamentally aging machines. The first boat entered service in 1981, and the entire class is operating on life extensions. The immense industrial strain of maintaining these decades-old submarines while simultaneously designing and building their replacement, the new Columbia-class, highlights the central challenge of modern deterrence. While the Ohio-class perfected the art of hiding, its age is now forcing a new cycle of underwater competition. Russia's answer to the underwater challenge is the type Borei, designated Project 955. This submarine class was engineered from the ground up to be the successor to the legendary Typhoon and aging Delta-class boats. But its most critical design requirement was to solve the single greatest weakness of Soviet-era submarines: their high acoustic signature. They were powerful, but they were loud, making them vulnerable to Western anti-submarine warfare. The Borei was designed to disappear. At 170 meters long with a submerged displacement of 24,000 tons, the Borei is a massive vessel, but its design prioritizes stealth over sheer size. The hull is covered in anechoic tiles to absorb sonar pings, and it was the first Russian submarine to use a pump jet propulsor. This system, which encloses the propeller in a duct, significantly reduces cavitation noise, the primary source of detection for a running submarine. The improved Borei-A variant refines this further, with a modified stern, updated electronics, and even better acoustic quieting. Its primary weapon system consists of 16 RSM-56 Bulava submarine-launched ballistic missiles. However, integrating this weapon was a major engineering challenge. The Bulava missile program suffered a string of high-profile test failures during its development, a stark reminder that a submarine is only as effective as the weapons it carries. A reliable deterrent requires both a quiet platform and a missile that launches successfully every time. In service, the Borei-class forms the core of Russia's modern sea-based nuclear deterrent. It represents a focused investment in a survivable second strike capability, forcing adversaries to contend with a submarine that is far quieter and more difficult to track than its predecessors. The troubled development of its missile system underscores the immense difficulty and expense of maintaining a top-tier nuclear triad, especially for a nation with a smaller industrial base than its Cold War peak. The Borei is not just a successor to older submarines, it is a direct counter to the West's acoustic superiority, a modern adversary designed specifically to operate and hide in the contested waters of the 21st century. While Russian and American submarine doctrines obsess over absolute acoustic invisibility, China's approach to sea-based deterrence relies on a completely different strategic calculus. The Type 094, also known as the Jin-class, serves as the maritime pillar of China's nuclear triad. Entering service between 2007 and 2021, this vessel represents a fascinating trade-off in modern naval engineering. Rather than competing directly on stealth, the Jin-class demonstrates that in strategic deterrence, quantity and geographic positioning have a quality all their own. Measuring 135 meters in length with a submerged displacement of 11,000 tons, the Type 094 was built on the hard lessons learned from China's earlier, troubled Type 092 program. Operated by a crew of roughly 140 sailors, the Jin-class suffers from a well-documented and severe mechanical flaw, a remarkably high noise level. In the unforgiving acoustic environment of the deep ocean, this submarine is significantly louder and easier for adversary sonar networks to track compared to the Ohio or the Borei. If a Jin-class submarine attempted to cross the open Pacific undetected, it would likely be compromised long before reaching its launch coordinates. However, the Chinese Navy engineered a strategic countermeasure that renders this acoustic vulnerability almost irrelevant. The solution was not to build a quieter hull, but to build a longer-reaching weapon. Newer units of the Jin-class are armed with 12 JL-3 submarine-launched ballistic missiles. Because these missiles boast an operational range exceeding 10,000 kilometers, the submarine no longer needs to transit into contested open waters. Instead, the Type 094 operates almost exclusively from heavily fortified maritime bastions within the South China Sea. Surrounded by friendly surface fleets, shore-based aircraft, and artificial island defenses, the submarine trades open ocean stealth for absolute bastion security. It simply sits in a protected sanctuary, holding distant targets at risk without ever exposing itself to deep-water hunter-killer submarines. While the Jin-class will eventually be replaced by the next-generation Type 096, its current deployment perfectly illustrates how a known mechanical weakness can be completely neutralized by a shift in operational doctrine. The modern naval arms race is split into two parallel competitions, demanding entirely different industrial priorities. On the surface, the clash between the Ford and the Fujian represents a highly visible struggle for control over global sea lanes and immediate power projection. Below the waves, the dynamic shifts. The engineering battle between the Ohio, Borei, and Jin classes is a silent, existential game of deterrence, where acoustic stealth and missile range dictate survival. Ultimately, no superpower can afford to choose just one path. The nation that masters the mechanical and strategic balance between both will define 21st century naval power.